Okay, I want to say one more thing before I moved on to after the Freedom School had closed. Actually, it didn't. It closed. It converted to a Head Start. I wanted to thank Bruce Hartford. He has done a wonderful job of keeping track of the civil rights movement. He has a website. It is www.crmvet.org. And on his website, he has a lot of information about the civil rights movement. And I found these field activity reports of Taliaferro County. It talks about the Negro students who was arrested. It talks about Frank Bates, and my uncle Alvin Bowman is on here. Some horrible things went on. I did not realize there were so many news articles about this little small town. But the Ku Klux Klans came. That was arrest. There was a case called Turner versus Goolsby, and in that case, they were taken to court because they were disturbing a religious sermon. Yeah, it's a really funny story. It's a guy who's down on the courthouse and he's preaching and singing when the marcher shows up. So they're saying that they disrupted his sermon. Anyway, it talks about Frank Bates and Calvin Craig and those people I mentioned earlier, and how they were arrested and the things that happened, and how J.T. Johnson and I think it's Jose Williams was here, trying to stop things from getting out of control, how to keep them focused on the right way to march and to get their message across. And it's amazing to me that this was only 6 weeks, a 6 week time span that all of this happened. And before, of course, integration was the decision made by the president to integrate the school systems. And then that's a whole nother story, because it never happened. The students actually moved out and they started a private school, but and we still remained a segregated school. But I just want to mention that before I moved on. In At some point, Mr. Turner and his friends and others are going to meet Randolph T. Blackwell. And for those of you who don't know Randolph T. Blackwell, he was one of Dr. King's leaders. He asked to take a leave of absence. I found this on the King's website. He asked to take a leave of absence so that he could start the Southern Rural Action Project. He felt that blacks shouldn't have to move from their county to the city to get a job. Jobs should be created here. And one of his success stories is the Crawfordville Enterprise. As a matter of fact, Ebony magazine did an article on the Crawfordville Enterprise. And in that article, they interviewed Randolph T. Blackwell. So can I get a good shot of this for you? They interviewed Randolph T. Blackwell, and they interviewed Robert Billingsley and some of the others who lived here in Taliaferro County. They even have, there's a picture of the Southern Rural Action Group. But this is Randolph T. Blackwell meeting with some of his members. And this actually it's not the log cabin school. The first screening plant was at the Springfield School. But of course, Springfield School is kind of small, and it outgrew that, and they found the bigger building down the street. It was the Crawfordville Enterprise building, which is now Robert Stephen Pallet Shop. And they came there and they took pictures of the people at the plant. And if you look closely, there's Bertha May Barkers, there's my aunt Ollie Bear Bowman. These were some of the factory workers there. They were quite successful, of course. As things always happen, this is Robert Billingsley. As things always happen, sometimes things get out of control. People are not being honest and doing what they're supposed to do, and one thing led to another, and eventually the plant closed down. Um, hopefully, hopefully, the people can relearn something from those mistakes and those errors, and we can move on and make things better today. So I just want to mention that. Randolph T. Blackwell did use the Springfield Log Cabin School as part of the Crawfordville Enterprise. And this is what else I thought was quite fascinating about this whole thing. They actually had a full-blown plan. The plan for Taliaferro County was to have the Crawford Enterprise Board of Directors. They had it talked about the community development, a credit union, and housing, and public education, a high school equivalency test. They had vocational training. Now, the only thing that I know that I have heard from my family that actually became of this, they did start a credit union. Of course, they started the screening plant, and they had the child care day service. My mother worked there for a while. The Head Start program, it was called. So those things were started, and I'm glad to say that my family and Springfield community was a big part of that. They wanted to be with people who were doing great things, and they were people who were doing great things. We met some wonderful friendships. Evan Harris and his wife, and those who fought to make a better Taliaferro County, a better Springfield community, a better people. And I'm sorry to say that um, it didn't get where we would have liked it to go, but that don't mean we have to stop now. We can continue to fight. Thank you. Have a great day. Hope you enjoyed this. Hope I didn't go